There he is, Mr. Musk. He is dancing. Tesla's up almost 75% since the start of the year. The stock dipped into bear market territory yesterday, though, after hitting new highs for a few days. And Elon Musk is dancing all the way to the bank since the now infamous funding secured tweet in August of 2018. That stock is up over 110%. Musk has had success despite slaps on the wrist now, of course, from the SEC and within his own company. And this is all raising some new questions about the role of the so-called God CEO in today's Silicon Valley climate. Joining us right now to talk about that is Jeff Sonnenfeld, Senior Associate Dean for Leadership at Yale School of Management. Also, Bethany McLean, Vanity Fair contributing editor and host of the podcast Making a Killing. Both are CNBC contributors. I want to start with you, Bethany, because I think that you have been very, very skeptical over the years about Tesla, about its ability to succeed. And frankly, there have been even questions about whether some of the claims that have been made by Musk and the company has made over the years have been questioned. You wrote a lot about some of the shorts in Vanity Fair and others. What do you make of the run the stock has gone on, but also the operations of the company right now?
Happening with the stock has anything to do with fundamentals. A longtime source of mine described it as basically there are a bunch of different games going on in trading. You think of it as just one game, but it's not. There's regular equity trading, there's high frequency trading, there's the derivatives market, and all these things. There's short covering, and all of these forces are coming to bear on what's happening with Tesla stock right now. So when you have a stock where 60% of the float changes hands in 2 days, 60% of people aren't changing their mind, aren't making a decision based on fundamentals. When you have the stock down almost 20% yesterday on, yes, news out of China that isn't great, but not enough to take the stock down 20%. One thing you know for sure is that this isn't a company that is trading on fundamentals. Okay, so let's decide it's not trading on fundamentals. Do you think it's trading on truth? How about that, Beth? On truth. On truth. Well, I don't think the stock is trading on anything to do with the underlying fundamentals. Right. I think it's trading on this belief in Elon Musk in part as a visionary, godlike CEO, and I think in today's market the stock is becoming almost a proof that Musk is right and that the skeptics are wrong. But I just remind people. That's because Bethany, and I'll come to Jeff in 1 second. But that's because the skeptics have made an argument for many years. Not just that the valuation was wrong, but that ultimately he was a fraud, right? That's yes. Been the argument, that he is fundamentally a fraud, that the numbers are fraudulent, that he's spinning these numbers in ways that don't make sense, that the SEC should crack down. I mean, all of it. And for better or worse, that has not happened. Right. Well, I think Musk has set the bar so low because he's been able to make claims that haven't come true. I mean, think about this fall when he said that by the end of this year, Tesla would be installing thousands of solar roofs a week. Think about last spring when he said that Tesla, when he made claims about the fleet of autonomous vehicles, 1 million autonomous vehicles on the road this year. And he's been able to set this bar that he can say anything, and then if he achieves something that actually looks reasonable, like a little bit of profits, people are blown away by that. And so he's succeeded in really redefining the role of a CEO and the communication with the market and the way the game is played. And I think the skeptics have overplayed their hand, certainly based on the results that have come in. And so you've got this short squeeze impact that is happening as well.
Let me jump in here, Bethany, and go to Jeff if I can. Bethany, thank you. Jeff, I want to jump. Listen, it's okay for people to doubt Elon Musk because let me give you 10 reasons why. DeSoto, Packard, Tucker, Edsel, Studebaker. I mean, I can go on. You get what I'm saying. Anybody who's tried to create a car company to compete with the big dogs in Detroit has failed. Every single one of them. It appears that Elon Musk is doing something that nobody has ever done before.
I mean, I think that's a great angle on it. I happen to agree with everything that Bethany said. However, I would like, Brian, all those 10,000 hostile emails that come through from Tesla fanatics to go Bethany's way and not my way when they start piling in on the show. And you generated them, I think, yesterday.
You're welcome,
yesterday, Brian.
by the way. I know. I asked about the car. I got 6 million responses. People are like, why don't you learn something about cars? I drove the first Tesla Roadster in 2009, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. Go ahead.
Great. And it is a great car. And that's something that's a little bit different. John DeLorean, it was his promotional beyond his capabilities. He wasn't a technology genius. He was a disruptor. You mentioned Tucker, Preston Tucker, another failed disruptor, but it was because he was sabotaged by major powers. Edsel, that was, of course, that was a son of Henry Ford, and that was not, that was not a successful model, but it wasn't that was an entrepreneur. But to your point, yes, we do need heroes. As Freud said, society is changed by its discontents. Some of the people who change the world as disruptors, we don't necessarily want to have always at our dinner table, although apparently, Musk is a pretty interesting guy to hang around with, is that the world has changed because of these people. Musk, if he listened to cynics like us, he never would have started the company, and that's true of many entrepreneurs. However, when we've talked about Musk and Tesla in the past year or two, we've taken a look at faulting him and some of his exaggerations. As Bethany said, where are these chitty bang bang cars that go in the water and fly and everything else, and the million fleet of taxis that we're supposed to have, autonomous taxis and all the rest? We don't see that. However, he's accomplishing, we're at production goals that are 2 years past where they should have been. But he still is doing something. Who could build a factory in China and be up and running in a year? Now it's shut down. So his forecasts aren't going to be met. These 500,000 cars, they're not going to be met this year. That's crazy. And that's why the stock popped earlier. It was that
but Jeff,
forecast.
The technology is so far ahead of everybody else. That's the point. You look at
Porsche,
some argue
and I'm not
knocking Porsche, but the Taycan, I get every car magazine. All the reviews are, well, it looks nice, but it doesn't have the range of a Tesla. And if people can't go from here to grandma's house on one charge or a quick charge, they're not going to buy the car. Tesla's technology somehow
what's punctured it is
like Audi.
What fell yesterday was Jim Chanos late afternoon, and I think it was Carl who actually tweeted it out, pointing out that if you type into Google, Jim had said, I think, should I? It said, you just type in should right now. Should I buy Tesla is how it autofills in Google. That we have this mass hysteria, the kind of thing that Charles Mackay had warned us about the madness of crowds in 1841. Or my colleague Bob Schiller, is instead of faulting the board for their passiveness and the way they have been enablers, and they have had some issues, they're doing better, or the recklessness of Tesla, Musk himself. I don't know what the Strawberry Fields dream is he had this morning,
right.
But mainly we're not faulting the entrepreneur, we're not faulting the board right now. It's the market that has this mass hysteria. Dennis Gartman, has a little twist on Gary Schilling's. The market can stay irrational longer than I can stay solvent. As Gartman says, the market will revert to solvency as soon as will revert to rationality as soon as I go insolvent. Is that it's the mass that makes no sense? Right. They're not going to meet these production levels. What punctured it was when yesterday was when Jim Chanos put out this truth look at the craziness how this thing is running up, not based on fundamentals.
Well, so that's the question.
So.
But
it's not the virus. The virus has been out there. Right. The coronavirus didn't change yesterday.
The question, though, that I have, and I'd ask this of Bethany because she spends a lot of time studying these numbers and also just the market psychology. We've had a lot of people come on this show and say, look, just on a pure mathematical valuation perspective, this stock is way too high. So let's assume that's right. But most of the people who have come on this show have still said, look, I'm not so sure I'd short the stock. Which is sort of a very interesting distinction. You could decide you think the stock's too high, but you're not willing to short the stock because of these sort of animal spirits that seem to relate to this company, and just about every short has gotten burned.
That's absolutely true. I mean, somebody said to me yesterday that Tesla was uninvestable either on the short side or the long side, because if you're driven by fundamentals and you're looking at the numbers, even though, yes, Musk has succeeded in producing profits and cash flow, still nowhere near enough to justify where the stock is valued. And if you were a fundamental person, you'd say it's an auto manufacturer at the end of the day. Let's put aside all these grand promises he's making. It's an auto manufacturer. At best, the margins are going to be pretty thin. There is no way that the fundamentals can justify where the stock is trading. But if you're a short seller, one, shorts have gotten destroyed in this stock. But two, you look at the underlying dynamics of the stock where the float is very, very small. And so the stock is easy to manipulate.